Good evening, everybody. Good to see you all. It's a little bit of a change up here today because I've been having technical issues all day long. Um, I've been trying to record a video report on the Catholic Campaign for Human Development, and in so doing, hooking things up to one thing and hooking them up to another. I had to move my green screen. I had to move the lights around. And in shifting things around, something messed up on my system. And right now, it's not recognizing my microphone. So I can't seem to get in to record uh, the audio here in this. The color looks good until I raise my hand to my face. And when that happens, I'm going to look like a smurf. So please don't laugh. It's just going to happen. Anyway, why don't we go ahead and open with a prayer and we'll get started. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum. Benedicta tu in mulieribus, et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Iesus. Sancta Maria, Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Amen. Our Lady of Victory, pray for us. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. All right. Before we get into tonight's topic, or series of topics, really, we're going to be talking about just running the gamut of everything that's been happening throughout the course of the week. It's so hard to keep up. You know, you've got things going on with the election. You've got things going on in the Vatican. You've got things going on with new priests and bishops being caught up in scandals. And it's just one thing right after another. I mean, the news is so rapid fire that it's almost impossible to stay on top of it. But anyway, be that as it may, we do have a series of newsworthy things that we're going to go over. The first of which, I finally put out a press release earlier this week to the Catholic Campaign for Human Development regarding that pro-abortion organization that we found them funding called the Ostara Initiative. The outfit which readily admitted of its own volition that, yes, we go into prisons and we do talk to women and try to assist them when they find it difficult to obtain an abortion. So we put that press release out. I know that it's been opened a bunch of times. We'll see if any bishop comes out and says anything about it or not. I do know in response that several bishops have come back and said that they are not participating in the annual collection. A lot of it has to do with our reports. So praise God for that. We are having an impact, albeit a small one. But, you know, let's take the small victories and turn them into big ones eventually. So that's good news. And this video report I was working on has to do with the response to the Catholic Campaign for Human Development. I think you'll like it. It's a fairly long report. It should be about 25 minutes when all's said and done. And I go through systematically and I start talking about what the CCHD said in its memo, the excuses that they offered, which are absolutely pathetic, their attacks on me, the Lepanto Institute in particular. And then I kind of go through and show, well, no, that's not true, and that's not true, and CCHD says this, and that's certainly not true, unless the CCHD thinks that this is a good thing. So I go through and I systematically show all this stuff, but I want to read to you the conclusion because I think, well, you guys are the anchor team, so you get to know first. So the conclusion is this. I said, everything we just showed you is what are known as self-evident truths, meaning you don't have to reason your way through to a conclusion. The information is true on the face of it. Faith in Action's direct involvement in electioneering on behalf of Democrat politicians is undeniable. Its formal relationship with the Black Church Political Action Committee is clear. Its support and promotion of abortion, contraception, and homosexuality is plain for all to see. And yet, the CCHD in this memo is telling people that our reports on this matter are false. There are only two kinds of people who deny self-evident truths: those who are insane and those who are liars. Unless the CCHD wishes to enter an insanity plea, you can pretty much guess which one they are. And that's how I end that particular report. So, like I said, I shot it this morning, or this afternoon rather. I took an hour to set up the to set up the lights, to set up the camera. I finally figured out how to set up my teleprompter, got everything going, got the sound, everything. Took me an hour to set everything up. Took me another hour to record the whole thing from start to finish. And I put the memory chip in, so that, or the SD card in my computer, so I can start doing editing. And I realize that in setting, because I'm doing this all by myself, in setting the teleprompter, the camera was angled in such a way that it was cutting off the top part of my head, just like that. So I got to reshoot, which kind of stinks, but well, I guess that's more practice. Anyway, so that's what I've been working on. That's we're also conducting more research into other CCHD grantees. I've got a couple of guys looking into the grantees and trying desperately to figure out where the problems are. We've already created a list of organizations we've already researched that we know are awful, that the CCHD is continuing to fund. So we're going to put all that together in a great big report. Hopefully that report will come out at the end of January or the beginning of February. In the meantime, and this is top secret, please don't tell anybody. In the meantime, you'll be interested to know that I am currently in talks with a law firm to discuss the possibility of a class action lawsuit against Catholic Relief Services and the USCCB for fraud. I was asked to put together a huge case, just outlining what the argument is, why it's fraud, why why this law firm should pursue it. Now, this law firm, they're liberal, they're very liberal, and when I was telling them kind of what I was, my idea, they were like, they were like, well, what's CCHD? And I said, CCHD is a granting agency that gives money to community organizing groups. And they're like, well, you don't have a problem with community organizing, do you? And I said, well, not on its face. Thinking in my head, well, pro-life activism is kind of sort of a form of community organizing, so I don't oppose that, which means to some extent I don't oppose all community organizing. And I said, I didn't say that out loud, I was just justifying in my mind. And I said, what I do oppose is a Catholic entity giving money to an organization that is acting against the Catholic Church. That's what I oppose. And that's why this lawsuit is important. So I started explaining some of the nuts and bolts of the evidence that we found, and I was showing them, just kind of walking them through it. Immediately, they start doing their little internet searches, and, well, I don't see abortion on this website, so I'm not sure how you can say that they're promoting abortion. I said, it's not because it's on their website. I find it in articles. I find it in video feeds. I find, all these other ancillary places that are direct prime sources because it's either video or a direct quote of the person involved. And so I can show through all of the evidences that, yes, these organizations are promoting the things that I say that they're promoting. So then they started using the CCHD line of, well, it doesn't seem to be the preponderance of their work. I mean, if this is only like one or two instances, are you really saying that that's enough to invalidate? I said, according to the CCHD's own grant guidelines, and according to what they tell faithful Catholics in the pews, the answer is yes. This isn't my own stipulation. It's not my own bugaboo. This is what they're telling pew-sitting Catholics. This is what they're telling the bishops, that their agency will never, ever fund organizations that are actively involved in the promotion of abortion, contraception, homosexuality. And I can prove that not only is that not true, but the CCHD then comes to the defense of these agencies when we catch them. So I put together a 4-page outline for this outfit, and I sent it to them yesterday, and because they still sounded quite skeptical when I was going through the information, and I sent it to them, and what I got back in return was, "Can we talk on Tuesday?" So Tuesday, please say a prayer, because there's a good chance that they may be taking up this case, and if they do, look out, because this is it's, as far as I can tell, it's an open and shut case. And if CCHD gets caught in a class action lawsuit, that could very well be the end of the CCHD. So pray hard, because this is actually a big deal. And with that, I'm going to bring Jim Mon into the room, the indomitable Jim Mon. And we're going to start talking about the news of the day, which there he is.
Mr. Hitchborn, always a pleasure. How are you, sir?
Good to see you too. So you have been doing yeoman's work in trudging through the election news and putting together an outline. So why don't you go ahead and get started, and I'll throw in where you want me to.
You got it, Hitch. Anyway, from beautiful Ave Maria, Florida. Great to be here as always. First, in terms of update on the election, there's a lot going on, and I don't know about you, but it just seems incredible that all this evidence seems to be coming out, and the media, mainstream media, quite literally is ignoring it all, and then they come back in a form of gaslighting and then attack anyone who disagrees with the narrative. It's the same thing we've seen for the last 4 years. Orange man bad. Most chilling, though, is that Luciferian twist. In the face of concerns, they ignore it, dismiss any claims, no matter how legitimate. So here's the updated news on a state-by-state basis. First of all, just minutes ago, before Hitch and I were kind of going through as things were really quite literally breaking, right before 7 o'clock, Wisconsin came out, and a judge has ordered that the voting ballots be impounded. So apparently, they see a need to take all the ballots, impound them, and then go through what it is they go through. That's great news. In Michigan, this was wild. Rudy Giuliani appeared at the state capitol, and he was urging lawmakers to execute their constitutional duties regarding the election. He was, in typical Giuliani fashion, he was quite aggressive. The point is, with many sworn affidavits from nonpartisan employees, you're looking at, in the state of Michigan, I think they have actually sworn affidavits from over 200 people who were election employees. Some of the employees have verified that they were ordered to backdate ballots, testimony and sworn affidavits that mail-in ballots were sequentially numbered, which is just impossible. And that's there's sworn testimony of intimidation and harassment for refusing to backdate those ballots. There are 200 sworn affidavit ballots, 200 sworn affidavits alleging election fraud in Michigan. Only 8 have been made public. But the point is, this is moving, and this is real information. And it's worth noting, if you're signing an affidavit, you're opening yourself up to perjury. Georgia update. This was cool. Yesterday, Hitch sent me over a text. He goes, "You gotta turn on your TV and see this." And I was able to go back and miss the part that he was telling about. But interestingly, a couple of points about Georgia, and I'm going to get into it right now. And some of you may have heard about this, but first, it's worth mentioning that there was a no-bid $107 million contract from the state of Georgia to Dominion. No bid. Now, Thursday, a federal court granted Trump attorney Sidney Powell her request to expedite the case. Specifically, she requested Dominion machines be held and inspected. This was not a ruling on that. It was actually a ruling on that the case be heard in a expeditious manner. But out of Georgia yesterday was the most compelling video I've seen through this whole process. And again, when Hitch gave me the heads up, I watched it. We saw clear, unambiguous video footage of election malfeasance in the area where there was, quote, the burst pipe case, where they had to pull everybody out, where it was necessary to evacuate the vote counting area, and they only left 4 workers behind. Now, the video footage clearly showed, this was amazing, because they went through it, and they clearly showed that they pulled out suitcases from under a black table. It was obviously that they were hidden and they were pulled out when the observers were forced to leave the room. This was really damning. Now, the table specifically, unlike any other table in the room, had, they call them in the convention business, skirts around them. And that's the kind of thing where any of you have ever been to anything in a hotel that was, whether it be a wedding or a convention, it's effectively designed to make a folding table look better. And so it's just a Velcro skirt that goes around the entire table to hide what's underneath, the metal part that folds up. And it's and so they conveniently, this is also a convenient storage area. But you can clearly see them pulling the suitcases out from under the tables and the skirts around them. And they were planted prior. So as soon as they pulled them out, they were handed to these 4 workers who were basically stuffing them into voting machines. Hitch? I mean, you guys, they said, you called me and you got to turn this on. And I went, yeah.
Now I want to add to this because I think people really need to kind of get the gist of the skeeziness of the whole thing as the whole thing was playing out. Now, I remember distinctly during the election. So while they're doing all the counts and everything else, Georgia was up. We were up in Georgia. Trump was up.
Right.
And they then I kept seeing that there were no updates in Georgia. And I was like, what's going on? Why is Georgia not updating? And then finally, one of the news stations reported that there had been a pipe burst, and that due to a pipe burst and a water leak in the State Farm Arena, they had to stop counting. They had to shut down the operation. They sent everyone home, and they said they would resume counting in the morning. And as soon as that happened, I started thinking, that's not good. Something's not right. But the thing to remember is that they sent people home. If you were to go back and watch live news feeds of the election results, you will see news anchors talking about how Georgia stopped counting and they sent people home. Right. Okay, that's the key. They sent people home. Well, then we have this video. And what you see in the video, you actually see this woman. She approaches the poll watchers and she says, you all got to go home. You've got sworn affidavits from these poll watchers who were there saying you got to go home. Now, these poll watchers are all the way on the other side of this room. They're not even up near the action. So they can't even scrutinize the vote counting as it's going on. They can't tell one ballot from another. So they're watching this from all the way across the room. And they all get told to go home. So people start to leave. And then the news team starts to pack up. You can see the news team pack up and they start to leave. And then finally, a few of the stragglers, a few of the watchers waiting for workers to leave, start filing out as well. And during that time, you see about 4 people milling about where the votes are. And they're, stacking things up and they're smoothing these tables down. You see some wiping tables off as if they're wiping off crumbs on the floor, which why would there be crumbs? And they're doing, general busy tidy work. And then after the last person leaves, they're just kind of sitting there and they don't do anything for almost half an hour. They're just sitting there. After half an hour, all of a sudden, everything gets real busy and they start pulling stuff out. They pull out these big black boxes, which were referred to as suitcases by Trump's legal team. They pull out these big black boxes from underneath this black table. Now, the black table was situated, and you have to realize, if you're the poll watcher and you're looking straight down the hallway, which it kind of was. It was a big convention room, more like a hallway. Looking straight down, in front of you, you'll see a vote counting machine. On the other side of that vote counting machine is this table with a black skirt on it. So if you're from the poll watcher side and you're looking straight down that way, you're not going to see that there's really a table there or that there's anything under it. And if you do, you wouldn't really question it because it's kind of obscure. It wouldn't look out of place. It's just a little hidden. And it's from underneath that they pull out a bunch of votes, and they go over to the tabulating table and they start running the votes through the tabulating machines. So this is how skeezy it is. That's how really kind of crazy and weird it is. So I sent this to Jim, and Jim's watching it, and we're going back and forth on text. We're going, can you believe this? I mean, this is nuts. Now, the best part, and this made me laugh. I actually burst out laughing when I saw this. This Democrat senator, this female Democrat senator is watching this whole thing. And then afterward, she starts asking questions of the female lawyer who is presenting it. And she says, well, I just don't understand, how you can sit there and tell us that there was vote fraud and all the, where's your evidence?
Right.
Where's your evidence?
We sort of busted out with that one.
Yeah.
It was right. It was fascinating. This is exactly what we've been talking about. They just went through, and by the way, nobody knew that this video was going on because it came from the State Farm Arena. So this was a shock. Right. And so then all of a sudden, they just went through this detailed explanation, frame by frame. It was obvious. Yeah. It was absolutely obvious. I don't see that. This is like they do this all the time. This is like you want to pull your hair out. Go ahead.
Yeah. So then she starts arguing a little bit with the lawyer, and she says, well, where's the evidence? And the lawyer kind of looks at the monitor and said, we just showed it to you. And so then she says, yeah, but this is all from, this has all been debunked weeks ago. This was all debunked. And the lawyer says,
came out yesterday.
We got footage at 11 o'clock last night.
Right.
So it couldn't possibly have been debunked. So then you could see this Democrat, and she's, getting all flustered, and her eyes are all big, and she's like, all of her body language is frantic. And then somebody very calmly says, well, maybe we ought to get some of the monitors to come in and take a look at this footage as it unravels, and, just get them to look at it. And she goes, well, maybe we should. And she has that like shrill, maybe we should kind of thing. And she then, and she kind of does this wild-eyed, like looking around the room kind of thing. And I'm sitting there going, this person's totally unhinged. There's only one reason why somebody would get that unhinged about seeing this footage. And it's because she knows exactly what she saw.
Yes.
She knows exactly what she saw.
Yep.
And she was just freaking out about it. So then, and Jim's going to start talking about this because this morning, which is really insane because this footage came out yesterday evening. I think they finished the press conference at about 6:30 or 7 last night.
Right.
This morning, there was a news article from Lead News, or I don't know. It's one of those fact checker sites.
Yes.
And it says the claim about, the Georgia video footage, it's all false. And they start, as Jim mentioned, gaslighting us.
Right. Because go ahead. Sorry, Hitch.
No, go ahead.
What I was going to say was so Hitch sends me over this article. You got to read this. So I go through this thing, and it's exactly like he said. So a couple of things I'm just going to read for a second. Gabrielle Sterling, where the heck is this? Where was it? Sorry, guys.
I think you had it towards the. I think you had these towards the bottom of your notes.
Yeah, I think so too. Right. Just where? Sorry about this. Just take me a second. There. Oh, there it is. Right. So let's go through the counterpoint from the fact checker of the Democratic Party. Right. So let me first sum it up for you. Here's the video. Here's the testimony. Nothing to see here. There's something wrong with you Republican people. Like that was it. So first, Election officials pull suitcase containers from. This is direct response, right? First, they pulled these suitcase containers from under a veiled table immediately after requiring observers to leave the room. Their response to this: no, those claims are not true. I love this. The direct quote: no, those claims are not true. Two high-level officials with the Georgia Secretary of State's office and the state election board monitor each told Lead Stories, that was the publication, that their investigations revealed nothing suspicious in the video. Hold on there. Let that hang for a second. The official said the ballots seen in the video were in regular ballot containers, not suitcases. By the way, that's not true. And they had been removed from their envelopes and processed while news media and election observers for the Republican Party and Trump campaign were present. Okay, it's absolute nonsense. Nonsense. We just saw the video. Okay, they had done this. So Hitch and I went through this entire news conference, and I went back and I looked at this thing, slowed it down frame by frame, and it was just that this caught the media off guard because they hadn't seen it. So they had time. 11 o'clock at night before they got the video. The next day, everyone's like, where did this come from? And so now what they're basically saying is, in spite of what you're seeing, you're not seeing this, right? It's just typical. So again, from the article, right? Gabrielle Sterling, a Republican and Georgia's voting system implementation manager, told Lead Stories, again, the publication, during a phone call on December 3rd, that what you can see on the video is normal procedure and nothing looks bizarre or odd. Election workers, known as cutters, because their job was to open absentee ballot envelopes, that has nothing to do with it, and verify ballots for eventual scanning and counting, were dismissed for the night sometime around 10 p.m. Again, it is and no one is challenging on this. It's absolutely false. That's just not true. The footage was taken from 4 angles in the room. Unequivocally, the workers were ushered out. And the moment privacy was secure, they let some time pass, and then all these boxes appeared. Again, it was on the video.
Yeah.
So I
want to go back to this one point. 2 high-level officials told the Georgia Secretary of State, or from the Georgia Secretary of State's office and the state elections board, they told Lead Stories that the investigations revealed nothing suspicious in the video. So what Lead Stories is going on, this is what's called appeal to authority. It's a logical fallacy.
Right.
So just because an authority figure says, well, there's nothing suspicious here, doesn't mean that there's nothing suspicious here.
Credibility.
At a murder scene, and see blood splattered all over the walls, and somebody could say, well, I asked President Trump if there was a murder here, and he said no. How would he know? That's called an appeal to authority. How would these two elections?
That was the whole argument. That was the whole article.
Yes.
You're exactly right. It was that you, when I went through it, you sent it over to me and I'm going, this is unbelievable. Here's the evidence. No, that didn't happen. You know why? We have a guy here who said no.
Right. Yeah. Not to mention, so they also said that in regard to people being sent home, they said nobody was sent home because of a water leak.
Yeah.
Really, we've got sworn affidavits from people who were there, who were ushered out, and they also said nobody was forced out of the building. They just kind of followed the cutters as the cutters were leaving.
They made them go home.
They made them go home. Yes.
The woman in the with the blonde braids, and
Yep.
they still have her name on that. She was like literally going, everybody has got to be out of here. They referenced the water main break, which by the way never happened, as the reason for it. It's no longer safe or something, whatever the nonsense was. Yeah, I mean, these guys were saying these are sworn affidavits. Is what they're saying.
So the this is a straight lie. It is a straight up lie for these officials to say that nobody was sent home because of a water main break. We've got news footage from that day saying people were sent home because there was a water pipe burst. Well, what am I going to believe? You or my lying eyes, And that's exactly what they're asking us. Your eyes are lying to you. You can't believe what your eyes are telling you.
I couldn't. I had no idea how rich that story would be until you sent it over. Thank you, Hitch. I enjoyed it. Are you kidding?
It's incredulous. I mean, you're just looking at people who are floundering, trying to say that there's nothing to see here when very clearly the evidence says, yes, there's something to see here.
Yes.
And it's the lapdog media, as James Faber just pointed out, is trying desperately. When they go into this kind of desperation, you know that you're closer to the truth. This is why I call this the Columbo moment. This is that point in every Columbo story where Columbo has so agitated the perp that he starts lashing out and calling him crazy and conspiracy theorist, and he doesn't know what he's talking about, and he's just nuts. And then Columbo says, yeah, you're probably right. I'm not all that put together. I'll just go ahead and go. And he turns and starts to walk away, and he says, oh, one more thing. And it's that one more thing. Yep. That's exactly it. I need a cigar here, But so it's the Columbo moment. It's that point in the entire story where the guy causes his own downfall. The perp catches himself because he's wrapped himself up in so many lies he can't possibly keep them all straight, and he winds up floundering and making a mistake. And the left right now is freaking out about this evidence, trying to say something extremely outlandish, that this couldn't possibly be true because it would mean our whole case is lies. I mean, that's ultimately what it boils down to.
I know, and again, and this is like it's almost annoying to hear it, but I have to say it. And again, credible quote news sources are not saying a word.
Your Honor, I object to this evidence because it's damning to my case.
Right. Oh, great. Wow.
Yeah, that's where we are.
Yeah. I kind of, but especially, I was, when I saw those videos and it was 4 angles in the room, and, and you gave me the heads up on this, and I was like riveted, and it was just so obvious. And today in the paper, or rather in the news sources, the usual ones, nope. Fascinating.
No, yeah. Yep.
But it's worth mentioning, man. It's worth mentioning. I really sense the tide is turning. We've got a bunch of news tonight. Like this is not. Don't give up, guys. This is.
Oh yeah.
This is very real, and well, anyway, you go ahead, and then I'll tell you why I feel that way later.
So this came out at 4:52 p.m. this evening. Okay, Citizen Free Press. Dominion gave Biden a 5% boost in Georgia.
Yes.
Now I'm going to go ahead and read you what this says. It's very short. It says, Russell Ramsland, a cybersecurity expert whose company has worked with NASA and MIT, testifies that he, and testimony, let's be clear, when he's testifying, it's under oath. It's a sworn affidavit. Right. He is guilty of perjury if he's making it up.
Right.
A cybersecurity expert whose company has worked with NASA and MIT testifies that he has analyzed Dominion along with Hart, ES&S, and others, crunched election data, generated mathematical models, tested his models, and found that Dominion machines gave Joe Biden, or made Joe Biden overperform by 5.5% across the board. Dominion gave Biden an extra 123,000 to 136,000 votes in Georgia, according to his analysis. Additionally, 96,000 mail-in ballots were never returned, but were assigned to voters. The mail-in ballots alone is enough to flip Georgia.
Yes.
Because
that's exactly right.
Biden was only up by 12,000 in Georgia. Up. Yep. So Georgia's done. I mean, the evidence is overwhelming. Any court in the land will see that the evidence is overwhelming. And even if the local courts, and I do think the local courts will take the case, I think they will throw out the certification of the ballots. But if a lower court does not, and it has to go all the way to the Supreme Court, I am all but certain that the Supreme Court will say, absolutely, this is an invalid election. There's no way you can certify these votes because of such extreme irregularities. And the video evidence is, I mean, here's the other thing. The video evidence is enough to overturn everything because about 23,000 votes were counted that night. 23,000.
Sure.
If Biden's only up by 12,000, 23,000 being thrown out, end of story. It's done.
Yep.
So Georgia's almost a fait accompli at this point. I would say Georgia is definitely in the bag for Trump. We just have to fight it out in the courts and make sure that nobody's getting paid off. But the case is solid.
Right. At the very least, compelling. At the very least, even any jurist worth his salt is going to have to, at least at this point, look at this. Although nothing surprises me, and but I have to hand it to the Trump team. They're digging in.
Mm-hmm.
They're already 3 steps ahead. They're assuming every case they're going to lose. They want to take this right to the Supreme Court. If they have to. You know what I mean? And I think that's huge. The point is, this could be the greatest fraud perpetrated on the American people to date in this young country's history. Do you think that's an overstatement?
No, I think that's about right. Charles asks, what about the senatorial election? So in Georgia, there's a runoff vote. And that's actually a big part of my report, the video report I'm putting together. But there's a big runoff election for the Senate race down there. There are 2 Senate spots that are up for grabs.
Yeah.
Rush Limbaugh, God love him. I love Rush. But Rush Limbaugh suggested today that maybe Trump should just go ahead and throw in the towel and try to save the Senate. Let me be clear about something. If the Dems stole Georgia from Trump, there's nothing to stop them from stealing those Senate race seats.
Absolutely.
From those 2 senators.
Great point.
Trump is the one who's standing in the way of the Dems getting what they want. So we have to, do not throw in the towel. And let's be clear, Georgia is actually a very conservative state. It's not that much of a liberal state. Those 2 Senate spots should be pretty secure as long as there's no cheating. So it's not about, throwing in the towel and making sure we throw more support to these 2 senators. No. This is about making sure that we have a secure and valid election, because if it wasn't fair and valid for Trump, it's not going to be fair and valid for anyone.
Fair enough. Exactly. Can I add to that? I want to continue your thought, because if you look at Arizona, there's something that seems to be emerging right now.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I said, let's talk about Arizona.
Well, yeah, I was going to say that there is, if you notice, you just mentioned in Georgia, and I forget the guy's name, the cybersecurity expert.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so, what was his name? I'm sorry.
I have to pull it up on my phone again.
Oh, yeah, it's all right. No, it's not really relevant to what I'm going to say. But when we think about it, this is what we're coming down to, because in Arizona, it's the exact same thing. There's that cybersecurity expert who was giving the testimony. They were yesterday. He was a retired U.S. Army colonel, Phil Waldron, and he claimed that the Dominion voting system transferred election data through the internet. Got it?
Oh, yeah.
The server was in Frankfurt, Germany.
Yep.
And despite this mountain of evidence to this fact that it was over unsecured internet lines, right? That the server was in another country. Hello, let's just stop there for a moment. Let that hang. Was in Frankfurt, Germany, and all of this is going on. And look what it takes to find out this information. It's like an onion. It's layered and layered and layered. We're talking about almost a month past the election, right? They bring in some cybersecurity expert, and it took them this long to find this out. The swamp is so deep on this; it's unbelievable. And right. I think that's what it's going to come down to. Did you want to cover Arizona, the other information? Or
I have here the Gateway Pundit.
Okay.
Breaking: Arizona's legislative leaders call for audit of Maricopa County Dominion election software and equipment.
Right. That's just out now, right? You just got that. Yes.
Yes. So that's actually huge.
Yep.
Because if so Arizona's legislative leaders are calling for this. If they get this passed and they're able to actually analyze and examine those voting machines and they find the irregularities that we know are going to be on them, then that's going to be game over in Arizona.
Bingo.
Because they will then have to decertify or not be able to certify Arizona because they won't be able to. How can you possibly sort it out? How can you determine which votes are valid and which ones aren't? You can't. You have to call it an invalid election. A friend of mine just messaged me and said the Pennsylvania legislature has directed its congressional delegation to refuse to certify the Pennsylvania Electoral College votes. This is the first step in Pennsylvania.
Wow, that just came out right too, right?
Yes.
Okay,
so that's huge. So if the legislature is telling the Electoral College they must not certify the votes, that's the first step for the Pennsylvania legislature taking back the election to the state legislature, which means that the Republican-controlled legislature of Pennsylvania will then be in position to set their own electors, who will then determine how the vote in Pennsylvania will go, either Biden or Trump.
Okay.
So, pray for Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So this is all very, very big news. And the hits just keep coming. Let's keep in mind what feast day is coming up.
Where are we?
December 8th.
Oh, the
Immaculate Conception.
That was December 8th. Sorry.
The Feast of the Immaculate Conception. Our Lady's feast day is coming up December 8th. Very powerful feast day, and something that we should be praying incessantly to Our Lady, especially on her feast day. Yeah, let's all go to Mass. Let's all offer our rosaries for victory. And I think that with all these Marian feasts coming up and with Christmas on the way, this is a good time to be a Catholic. It's a good time to be in the fight, you know?
Yes. Yes, it is a good time to be there. But I can't stress it enough. This is not over, guys. It's just not over.
No.
And if
not by a long shot.
Yes, this is a long, hard slog through the mud. But
so
what's that?
What have you got on Wisconsin?
Oh, yes, Wisconsin. Good point. In Wisconsin, there are currently 4 active lawsuits attempting to block certification of the state's electoral votes. 2 are federal, 2 are state. But the interesting thing about Wisconsin is, again, signed affidavits from, I'm not sure exact, I couldn't find the exact number, but U.S. postal workers being ordered to gather and backdate election ballots. U.S. postal workers. And I mean, that is a whole nother element to this discussion, right? And again, it's worth mentioning, you sign an affidavit, you open yourself up to perjury.
Yep.
Yeah, and let me tell you, judges don't like perjury, no matter where you're from. So I mean, this is serious, and you know that they were told that. It's awfully compelling to me. So Wisconsin there's a at the very least there's plausible evidence here to take a look at this, and I mean, we kind of went through, Hitch and I went through all these states, and let's say what have we done? Arizona, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan. We talked about, right?
Yeah.
This could happen.
Yep. Oh, yep. Easily at this point.
Yep. Yeah. And what I was I don't know, Hitch, if you were done with this, but I was gonna say we had a couple other things to go over, if that's all right.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is kind of my favorite part of the night because this is called the hypocrisy segment, right? So I just thought I would, what we're trying to do tonight is just bring you guys up to date what's going on. So here's what we're going to call the absolute hypocrisy of the left, right? So Biden, if elected, has already said that he's going to ask all Americans to wear a mask for the first 100 days after inauguration. And he also says that we cannot travel for the holidays, but if we do, there will be 250,000 deaths by Christmas. I can't make this up. I don't know. Just I don't want to comment on that. It's just so ridiculous. Let's go through everyone's favorite state, California. Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti. He's banned all travel, Hitch. All travel. Did you know this?
No, I didn't.
Foot, bicycle, scooter, motorcycle, automobiles, and transit. It's time to cancel everything. I read this. I didn't believe it. I just said, well, it must be a mistake. I go back. Yes.
All travel.
For the next 2 weeks. Yes. All travel for the next 2 weeks. We're
Yeah, look, this made me so mad I'm a Smurf. Again.
Yeah.
There we go.
He's been and the overreaching. This is why we have the Second Amendment. I'm not trying to be a jerk, but
yeah, no, you're right.
I am like this idiot. He just literally that's for Los Angeles residents. He's not a mayor. He's a czar.
Yep.
You know, I mean, no, the czars were actually nice people. Actually, I don't know much about the czars, but I have the wrong word. Fill it in for me. What is he?
Here's what I want to know. If he's going to ban all travel, no scooters, no bikes, no cars, no
motorcycles, automobiles, transit, mass transit is going to be shut down. Yes.
So does that mean everybody's going to have to walk, or is walking banned too?
Foot is also banned, so you can only leave for life's necessities. I'm not making this up, and so, but you know, and I
enforce this.
What?
How do they plan to enforce this?
I have absolutely no idea. I was just so amazed that this actually was.
I mean, that's absolutely asinine.
It's just, and of course the cannabis stores and the booze stores are going to be open.
Oh, of course they are.
Got of that. So I assume they deliver now, because that would be a lifestyle.
Oh, I see.
Uh-huh.
So how are people going to get to work so that they can deliver?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe certain people get dispensations.
Oh, okay.
I swear to you.
It all works until it doesn't, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, I don't even, I mean, this is just, as I said, I was so horrified by this. I said, this can't be right. But nope, there he was up there. Because man, so if I can continue, it gets worse. So no, I shouldn't say that. Not actually worse, but London Breed, who by the way is a cool name, with mayor of San Francisco. I don't know what the background is. It's just I'm just saying. That's all right. Very interesting name. So holidays are super spreader events, and she's also encouraged everyone to stay home. But she was just seen at a Napa restaurant, again, one of the most expensive restaurants in California. With the 8 days after that announcement that everyone should stay home for Christmas, celebrating with friends maskless. And so, okay, great, there, London Breed. But I think Garcetti wins, but for honorable mention, we got to go with Steve Adler, mayor of Austin, Texas. I absolutely love this guy. He actually came out with a stay-at-home message, but he had a twist. Okay. He did the stay-at-home message in Cabo. So he got a private jet with his buddies, and they all flew down to Cabo, and that's where he delivered his message. Now, you should stay at home, Michael Hitchborn. Unfortunately, not me. I'm going to be in Cabo with my buddies, eating, drinking, and that's what the ruling class does.
So the ruling class is basically saying, I'm going to impose impossible strictures on you.
Yes.
But hey, peace out, everybody. I'm going out to
Cabo. Yep. You know what? Some of this stuff, especially Garcetti, I said this can't be right, and that was true. So now we have again to pick on California because they so deserve it. Nancy Pelosi, Barbara Boxer, Gavin Newsom, all of them have violated everything, right? Everyone, right? You know about Gavin Newsom. We mentioned him 2 weeks ago. Nancy Pelosi getting her hair done. Barbara Boxer doesn't wear a mask like when she's around the Capitol. All busted for breaking
your face.
Right, which I'm with you on that. And all busted for breaking the laws that they have instituted and have arrested people for it. And I would like to point out the guy on his paddleboard out in the ocean where they set he's my all-time favorite. This guy's going seriously, like looking over his shoulder. Are they doing this? He's out in the middle of the ocean, his paddleboard, and they put him in handcuffs. This is bad. Now, okay, so it's if I may, it's going to get better. I promised you this, man. It's going to be better. So in Staten Island, the owner of a bar expressed his disagreement with the shutdown order. But he made, Michael, let's see if you can guess this. I don't think you've seen these notes. What was his big mistake? Yeah, he expressed disagreement with the order from Tsar what's his name? Yeah, right. So what was his? What do you think his big mistake was? What do you think the crucial coup de grace was in his situation?
I can't even guess.
He went on TV, Michael.
Oh,
He did that. That was that. You don't do that to liberals, man. You don't go on TV under any way, shape, or form. So
right.
he goes on TV and goes, "This is insane. I have a bar in Staten Island. A lot of people walk here. I'm going broke. I'm opening my bar, basically. So so they come and arrest him, and man, did that hit a backlash. So a bunch of people in Staten Island just went crazy, and they went out there and protested. But the best part is that the governor of New York, our favorite Catholic, quote, let it slip. He was spending Christmas with his elderly mother and the family. So what this all means is, in their view, right, if you protest in the street about things that they like, that's your duty. But if you're in Staten Island and your friend owns a restaurant and bar and you protest that, they made multiple arrests.
Wow.
There you go. So, so we got that going. I had to get that. You lose track of these guys, right? After, there's so much insanity in the news, and I use the term Luciferian. There's so much insanity in the news. You're going, wow, did that really happen 2 weeks ago? Yeah, it did. Sorry, it did. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, that was so 2 weeks ago, though. Come on, it's 2020. Keep up.
That was so 2 weeks ago. Now, as you always say, Hitch, we're never going to leave them on a negative note, right? So there really is some great news here. And this really is fantastic. The Supreme Court shot down a law forbidding in-person worship in the state of California. The case was brought by Harvest Rock Church. Thankfully, the court has offered some sanity to this absolutely insane environment. So actually in California, they can't do this. They're, thanks to Harvest Rock Church. I believe they're evangelical. I've seen the guy on LifeSite News, I think, getting interviewed. Thank goodness for the Supreme Court, because this is nuts. Did you see the video I sent you? You did watch that today on CNBC?
Oh, yes.
Okay. I think it fits very nicely here. Now, to give you guys context, I'm kind of a Wall Street guy. So for whatever reason, I keep that dopey channel on all the time not because of the commentary. It's more to get, the bond market. So there's one guy on the whole panel who's a conservative. His name is Rick Santelli, and he's out of the Chicago Options Exchange. And he's like, and he just went off on a rant. And he just went, look, this is crazy. I don't understand why you can have the big box store open, but all these people are losing their low wage jobs in restaurants. And he just goes on and on. It makes absolutely no sense. And he had the temerity to make the suggestion that maybe we should look into this a little more before we start killing these people's jobs and everything, and destroying how many restaurants went down in the United States. And what did the panel say to him? Follow the science, Rick. And they just condescendingly dismissed him. And, and I'm surprised he's usually a very analytical guy. I'm surprised he didn't just reach through the TV and choke him. But but this is what happens. And that's a mainstream show, and there's two of them, Steve Leisman and Aaron Sorkin. By the way, Aaron Sorkin is also the guy that did the HBO series Billions, complete with your lesbian couple and your androgynous person. So it's very, very, very important that you know that. And so, but did you notice his tone? Right? It was absolute dismissive, condescending. Oh, you poor idiot! Right? Everybody knows this. And he's like, "What science? 99.9% survival rate. Is that the science you're talking about?"
Speaking of percentage, you seen the latest news that the vaccine that they've come out with?
Yes,
has a 20% high risk. What is it called? Reaction rate.
Really?
20% high risk reaction rate. There's a priest in, I think, Philadelphia that just recently received a trial run of the vaccine and died. So
I did not catch that at all. Wow.
A 20% adverse effects reaction rate, highly adverse effects reaction rate, 20%. For a virus that only is lethal to 0.002% of the population.
Oh, good Lord.
Why in the world would I subject anybody to a vaccine that is far more dangerous than the illness itself?
Absolutely. This goes this. I'm sure I know your answer. I never asked you this. You're not getting this thing, are you? Me neither. It never occurred to me.
I don't
This-
know flu shot.
right. Exactly.
So,
Oh, man.
you know, I do want to, as I was going through your notes, the notes that you sent me, and the great outline you put together. By the way, great program this evening. I think it just worked out really well.
Yeah, it's cool. I always love doing it.
I just kind of want to give a few thoughts that I threw together that it just kind of summarizes my sense of the whole thing. What I'll start with this. My favorite parable of all time, my absolute favorite parable is the story of the Good Samaritan, because it tells the entire story of our faith. And it tells the whole story of our faith in brief. Now, the social justice crowd loves the story of the Good Samaritan because it makes them feel all important. It makes them feel like they're doing the right thing and rushing about to do what they call social justice. They think that the whole thing is about this just one big excuse for making everyone come together in a kumbaya effort to feed, house, and clothe everyone in this socialist utopia. But that's not what the story's about. It's the story of man's fall from grace. It's the story of man's fall from grace, and it's about Christ's restoration of grace. It's the story of Adam leaving the state of grace and entering into the original sin, where he was then set upon by robbers and left for dead. Now, this is key. He was left for dead. The robbers are the devil and his rebellious angels. They stole Adam's state of grace, and they stole it through a lie and end up murdering his soul. As our Lord said of the devil, he was a liar and a murderer from the beginning. Today, it seems all too clear that the entire world is going through a deception, a theft, and a murder as well. Pope Francis and his cadre of wicked cardinals, bishops, and priests are lying about the faith. They are stealing our rightful inheritance and treasure, which is the glorious and inerrant teachings of Holy Mother Church. They've stolen the goods from us. They've stolen these goods from us and sold out to the world. And because of their theft, millions of souls are abandoned, left to starve. And as a result, poor, withered souls die in their sins. And as the three children of Fatima put it, fall into hell like snowflakes in a blizzard. And right now, an apostate pretending to be a Catholic is lying about himself, lying about his allegiance to the church, and trying to steal this election. And his agenda is death. The death of babies, the death of the economy, and the death of this nation as we once knew it. And through this unholy alliance of Pope Francis and the apostate Biden, they will together endeavor to impose upon the whole world their false interpretation of the story of the Good Samaritan. And if the Good Samaritan is Christ, then what is his inverse? The inverse of the Good Samaritan, who is Christ, would then be Antichrist. So many faithful Catholics do not realize what we have right now. They think about how, well, the elections will go one way or the elections will go in another way. And they don't realize what they have right now and why we must not allow this election to be stolen, and what we stand to lose if we cannot prevent Biden from getting into office. Everything about our current civilization hinges on this moment. Because the only one standing in the way of the great global reset, of the attempt to socialize the entire world, to get us all united under the United Nations, is Donald Trump. People don't like him. People think he's rude. They think he's brash. And he's not entirely right on all the moral issues either. Okay? He's in favor of contraception, for instance. But the fact of the matter is, in terms of what this world stands to lose if Biden gets elected, Trump is the only one who stands to stop it. He's the only one withstanding to do it. He's the only one with the power and the authority to do it. And if we lose him, that's it. Our worldly ability to stop this crisis is gone. Because then the hard left will be in control of every single part of power that they need. And from there, you can probably guess what'll happen. Because it's repeated in history over and over and over for the last 120 years. It's the continuation of Soviet Marxist, Darwinist, heretical revolution repeating itself on all phases for us right now. This is the last thread. It's the last thing standing in the way. If we don't stop them now, there is nothing we can do. Nothing except pray. And at that point, we have to focus on nothing but salvation, because that's all we will have left. And it's the most important thing. I don't want to downplay that. But I want to make it clear what we stand to lose. Because what we stand to lose are religious freedom, our ability to practice our faith in the open, our ability to raise our children so that they are not indoctrinated in homosexual and pro-abortion and pro-contraception propaganda, our ability to protect our children from deadly viruses that these monsters want to inject them with, the ability to protect our children from being forcibly sterilized. That's what we stand to lose. So, coming up December 8th, it's Our Lady's Feast, the Feast of the Immaculate Conception. And it's not just the Feast of the Immaculate Conception. Do you know what it is? It is the official feast day of the United States. Because Our Lady of the Immaculate Conception is the patroness of the United States. This entire country was consecrated to her. The entire Americas were consecrated to Our Lady of the Immaculate Conception. December 8th is her feast day. It's also our feast day. And it's a most important day for all of us. She will fight for us, and she will protect those who she calls her children, and those of us who are willing to call her Mama. She'll be there for us, but we have to be there for her. So do not cease to pray your rosary. Do not cease to visit our Lord in the Blessed Sacrament. Do not cease and do not fail to go to Mass and honor Our Lady, and do everything you possibly can to fulfill the requests of both our Lord and Lady to make the 9 First Fridays and the 5 First Saturdays. As Fulton Sheen said, if souls are not saved, nothing is saved. And this war right now is all about saving souls. That's why it's important. So, as the anchor team, the team that is put together in order to draw Our Lady up, in order to free the bark of Peter so that it can move past its moorings. Our job is to spread the truth, to spread the good news, and to pray, pray, pray. That's our job. That's why we're here, and that's why we continue to have these discussions. So, with that, why don't we close with a prayer?
Great. Can I mention one more thing? And not to get, we forgot to mention the cross. We'll be getting them out within a week, 10 days. To everyone who ordered one. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Did you unmute me?
Yeah, you're unmuted.
Oh, sorry about that. I don't know if you heard me, but the cross will be sending those out for all those who ordered them. Sorry for the delay. We had a problem with the mold. I apologize. I'm doing this at the end. But anyone who ordered a cross will be sending them out within a week to 10 days. So,
all right, you hear that? So if you've ordered a cross, a week to 10 days is when they'll start going out. All right?
You got it.
Why don't we go ahead and close with our prayer?
You got it.
In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum, benedicta tu in mulieribus, et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Iesus.
Sancta Maria, Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Amen.
Our Lady of Victory.
Pray for us.
In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen.
Amen.
All right, everybody. Have a great weekend. Have a great feast of the Immaculate Conception, and we will see you all next week. God bless you, and have a great weekend.
See you guys.